Hey everyone, and welcome to our explainer covering Section F of your CMA syllabus, Technology and Analytics. Today we're tackling the data lifecycle. And look, I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now. You're sitting there saying, I'm studying to be a management accountant. Why on earth do I need to care about data governance? I totally get it. That anxiety is completely valid. But stick with me here, because mastering this doesn't just help you pass a test, it's going to make you a highly strategic financial leader. And I promise, we're going to make this incredibly simple.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at why data governance matters. Second, we'll map out the 5 core stages. Third, we dive into stage 1, which is data creation. Fourth, we'll cover storage and active usage. Fifth, archival and safe destruction. And finally, my favorite part, exactly how to ace this on the CMA exam.
Okay, part 1. Why data governance matters. This really is the foundation of modern accounting.
Let's move right into part 2, the 5 core stages. Think of this as your data assembly line.
So, as modern management accountants, we don't just sit around looking at finished financial statements anymore. We rely on massive volumes of data to forecast and drive our strategy. But here's the catch. If that data is unreliable, our entire analysis breaks down completely. The IMA absolutely expects you to understand that data is not static. Think of it exactly like a physical product on a manufacturing assembly line. Actually, it's a perfect metaphor. It's born during the creation phase, placed into storage, pulled out for usage, moved to archival when it gets inactive, and eventually it meets its end in destruction. Let's walk through these stages step by step so you know exactly where those tricky exam risks are hiding.
All right, stage 1, data creation. This is all about capturing the data ecosystem.
Now, this is the exact moment data actually enters your system. It could be manually typed in, imported from third-party vendors, or automatically captured by IoT sensors. And there's a huge contrast you need to pay attention to here. The biggest governance nightmare we face is garbage in, garbage out. Literally, if bad data enters at this stage, every single downstream analysis is completely wrecked. So to prevent this, the exam is absolutely going to test you on key controls, things like input validation, which includes field and range checks, and establishing clear data ownership to maintain those strict entry standards.
Next up, storage and active usage, securing and applying that data.
Once we've captured the data, it has to live somewhere, right? Usually in databases or cloud servers. That's stage 2, storage. Your entire governance focus here is purely about security and availability. The CMA exam loves to test a few specific controls for this phase. You absolutely must have regular backups, and your data needs to be encrypted twice. What do I mean by that? Well, it requires encryption at rest, meaning when it's just sitting there securely in storage, and encryption in transit, which is when it's actively moving across your networks. Then, when we actually pull that stored data out to build our forecasting models, we enter stage 3, usage. Now, the absolute golden rule for governance in this stage is the principle of least privilege. This just means users should only have access to the specific data necessary to perform their exact job roles. I mean, you definitely wouldn't want every single employee having access to unannounced financial results or everyone's confidential salaries, right? So access must be strictly role-based.
Moving on to archival and safe destruction, managing the end of life for our data.
Eventually, data goes cold. You aren't using it every single day, but because of strict legal or tax requirements, you can't exactly just throw it away either. Welcome to stage 4, archival. Your key control here is moving that inactive data over to cheaper, secure storage. At the same time, you need to establish clear data retention policies so that the data remains perfectly searchable just in case the auditors come knocking.
And finally, the data reaches the very end of its required retention period. It is officially time for stage 5, destruction. Which leads me to a very important question for you. When it's time to destroy data, is dragging a file to the computer's recycle bin and hitting empty enough?
The answer is a resounding no. Emptying a recycle bin is definitely not secure destruction. In fact, to comply with strict privacy laws like GDPR or HIPAA, you need something called cryptographic erasure. This is mathematically scrambling the data so it can quite literally never be read again. Or you need the actual physical destruction of the hard drives themselves. Okay, let's get into section 6, acing the CMA exam. This is how we apply everything we just learned. Let's look at exactly how the IMA is going to frame this for you. Imagine a scenario where a manufacturing firm is storing 10 years' worth of transactions in an active database, and it's causing massive system slowdowns. The exam is going to ask you which lifecycle control resolves this. And the answer is,
implement a data archival and retention policy to move those non-active records out of primary storage. My absolute biggest exam tip for you here: always ask yourself, which stage is this problem occurring in? The issue in this scenario wasn't data entry, right? It was an overloaded active database. If you match the problem to the specific phase, the correct control will literally always reveal itself.
To bring this all together, I want you to go ahead and pause, maybe take a quick screenshot of this study guide. It perfectly aligns the 5 core stages with their exact objectives and key controls. So you've got validation at creation, encryption at storage, least privilege at usage, cost-effective retention at archival, and cryptographic wipes for destruction. You now have everything you need to absolutely master this topic on exam day.
I'll leave you with this one thought. Are you ready to stop just reporting the past and start governing the data that actually drives the future? Because that is exactly what we're doing here. You aren't just memorizing a bunch of dry IT terms, you're becoming a true strategic finance leader. You've got this for sure. Keep practicing, and I will see you in our next explainer.